Good morning, everybody. Happy Easter.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Reverend Dr. Suzi Schadle. I'm the minister here at Suncoast Center for Spiritual Living, and I add my welcome to all the other welcomes that you've already had. So if you don't feel welcome by now, see me after class, because we will need to do some deeper work. So how's everybody? Not a lot of Easter bonnets. See, you're all afraid of the same thing I am, happier. We have our instigator of this thing.
I do it.
I don't know, Tom, you may have some competition here. I just want to, yeah, it's a contest, but I just want to point out, it's the men that are doing the Easter Bunny. I think that shows some kind of progress in this world. Pardon?
And we do love gloves.
Yeah, the gloves were really, I don't know, Weston, that's a powerful touch here, the glove. So you all think about it and we'll decide at the end, not that they win anything, but, because we forgot to decide that part. So, happy Easter. For those of you who haven't been with us for the last several weeks, let me just catch you up very quickly on where we are and what we're heading into this Easter celebration Sunday. Centers for Spiritual Living all over the world has chosen a theme for 2017, and that theme is values-based spiritual living. So centers all over the world are speaking about the same principles and the same ideas, and that adds some real presence and power to what we're doing. The Centers for Spiritual Living theme for April has been transformation and evolution, because we are forever transforming into who we truly are and evolving into a more powerful presence of that. And what we decided here, actually, you didn't, I did, I'll own up to it. I decided that the theme for Suncoast Center for Spiritual Living for March and through Easter Sunday today is called Get Real, the Growth Principles of the Velveteen Rabbit. So some of you may not realize that the Velveteen Rabbit is actually an adult story. It's your story. So if you haven't read it since you were a kid, go grab a copy at the used bookstore and read it, because there's some powerful stuff in there that we may have missed before. And so far, I'll catch you up on what we've done. We've explored the idea that real is not only possible, no matter where you may be in your life at this present moment, real is possible, and it is a process. It is a process of evolution, of transformation, of becoming more fully who we are. And real is also emotional, and it is empathetic. Emotional in the sense that we allow ourselves to feel our real feelings, and we allow ourselves to express those real feelings. And we have empathy, not only for ourselves, but for other people who are practicing the same, being honest and real with their emotions. Real is courageous, because it does take some courage to be open and honest about who we are, to be vulnerable and transparent. So real is courageous, it's also honest. It takes some courage to be really honest with ourselves, sometimes more with ourselves than with other people. You know, sometimes it's easier for me to tell myself to somebody else than for me to look in the mirror and say, oh, it's you again, the one that follows me around all over the place. Yeah, I gotta talk to you. We also learned that real is generous and it's grateful. Generous with who we truly are. That is the greatest generosity we can give, is to be generous with who we truly are. And to be grateful that we are that. And to be grateful for other people who are willing to be generous with who they are as well. And then we also looked at the idea that real can sometimes be painful. It can be a painful process of sort of peeling back the layers of who we have pretended to be so that we can be who we truly are. And that requires some flexibility on our part. We need to be flexible with ourselves and allow ourselves to be flexible with other people. And last week we looked at the idea that real is ethical. It is us being willing to live from our highest values and ideals, and to be real with those and to really practice them, not just recite one of them every Sunday, but to really be the presence of those values and ideals. And real love endures. That was the other thing we looked at. Real love endures everything. It endures everything. It is that powerful. It was one of the most powerful forces in the entire cosmos. Now, let me give you just a little bit of the backstory of the Velveteen Rabbit. Just a little reminder for some of you, but a catch-up for some of you others. The Velveteen Rabbit was a little inexpensive stuffed rabbit who came to live in the nursery of a little boy, and that nursery was filled with all kinds of expensive, fancy, wind-up mechanical toys. who were pretty snooty to the little Velveteen Rabbit. And the little Velveteen Rabbit was pretty intimidated by the fanciness and the snootiness of those other toys. But he meets the Skin Horse, who is really just down home, down to earth, real. And the Skin Horse starts to sort of mentor or tutor him. And so the Skin Horse tells him that what's really important is to be loved, to be the presence of love, to be loving, to be loved, and to become real through that process. And so the little Velveteen Rabbit goes, wow, I want to do that. I want to be real too. And so he wants to have the experience of being real and of being the presence of love. So the little boy gets scarlet fever, and he chooses the little Velveteen Rabbit to comfort him during that bout with scarlet fever, which the little Velveteen Rabbit takes on like a trooper. And as you can well imagine, throughout that process of the scarlet fever, the little boy and the Velveteen Rabbit become very, very close. Very, very close. And the love of the boy and the Velveteen Rabbit starts to transform that little Velveteen Rabbit into a real bunny. Because of that love, he becomes who he truly is and not just a little manufactured thing. So the reason you're all hugging bunnies, or yeah, we actually have some, at first I thought maybe they were imposters, you know, trying to be the Cadbury bunny. But we've got a dog that has bunny ears, we've got some cats, we've got dogs, we've got lambs, we've got chickens. So the reason that you have them, and if there are any that are sitting by themselves, please go grab them up. What I'm asking you to do is love them up, send lots of love into these animals, because we're going to turn them into real, and then we are donating them to the police department so that they have them in their vehicles when they arrive at a situation that's traumatic and has children involved. They give these loved up, real little animals to the children to calm them and soothe them and to love them. So put lots of love into those, okay? You with me?
Yes.
So don't leave any behind. We leave nobody behind, all right? Okay, good. So today, on Easter, we all get to get really real also. R-E-A-L. Resurrection expands authentic life. And what we're going to do is resurrect the real in us, the real self, to expand into authentic life so that we are the full expression of that. And the parable of the little Velveteen Rabbit and the metaphor of the Easter story are our stories that will help us to understand how we can become more real, more authentic, more who we truly are. And it begins by being willing to die to the old, small, and limited in us, to let it go, to no longer be willing to play small, to play unreal, to play inauthentic, to be limited in any way. So we lay that down and let it go so that we can rise in consciousness to an authentic, magnificent presence that we truly are. To fully own that, to embrace, embody, and be who we truly are. Are you up for it?
Yes.
You game? All right. So, I want to paraphrase some wisdom from the Skin Horse and the Velveteen Rabbit, and from an actual human author named Michael Brown. Most of us died an emotional death about age 7. This is the death from which we are being asked to reawaken, a dream that on the surface appears to be real. We must face what is real in a real way if we want to activate real movement in the quality of our life experience. This is not about changing who we are. It's about releasing the who we are not of our manufactured identity so that we may return to our authentic presence. And when we learn to see beneath the surface of things, we begin to move from the world of pretense to the world of presence. Get real. You with me?
Yes.
You ready to get real?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because you're going to start feeling some squirming of all those little animals. They're going to be starting to get real, so you better keep up with them. You're going to get real also. Now, unfortunately for many of us, from our childhood, we learned to focus on our outer identity and creating an outer identity that was acceptable and presentable, which often featured our differences rather than our likenesses and our ways in which we were connected to one another. So many of us unfortunately had that idea that that's how we had to be. That's what it meant to grow up. And many of us also were not unconditionally loved for who we were, And so we began the deadly dance of becoming unreal, thinking that's what it means to become an adult. That's what it means to mature and to grow up. We get unreal like these big people that have been surrounding us all these years. We got to get unreal like some of them. And so we tried very hard to be whoever we thought it was that we needed to be in order to get love and approval. And sometimes we turned ourselves inside out in order to do it and turned ourselves into a pretzel to do it. Anything I need to do to get love and approval. And so we began to manufacture, to create this false self that we fully embodied and began living as who we are not. Some of us, in order to find just the magic formula to get all that love and approval from everybody. And some of us, like myself, in order to cover up the real me so the real me could never be hurt. You could only hurt the false me. Nah, 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 nah. Gotcha, right? I thought that worked for many years, and then I realized the person that I was covering up was me, and the person I was covering it up from was me. I lost both times. Resurrection, on the other hand, is simply to awaken, to allow the real self in us, the authentic being in us, to rise up, to be regained. You know, it's almost like grabbing up all the fragmented pieces of ourselves and becoming whole and authentic again. That's resurrection, to awaken, to see the light of truth, to see who we truly are and be willing to be who that is. To rise into full possession of who we are, our real self. And that rises us into infinite possibility and brand new life. A life that we get to participate in creating. So ours is the same journey. The same journey of awakening that we read about in the Velveteen Rabbit, and the same journey of awakening that is in the Easter story. And the way to awaken, the way is within. It's not out there somewhere trying to figure out all the gimmicks and figure out to touch all the right bases and make it home. The way is within. It's to turn within, not outward. And to awaken to our real divine presence, which has never been blemished. It's just been covered over. Have you ever been to some of those old houses where they have put so many layers of paint or varnish or whatever on the cabinets, and then eventually some wise soul goes and they start to take that off, and you go, wow, there's some fabulous wood underneath this. It's perfect. And so it's really about taking those layers of unrealness, of inauthenticity away to let shine forth the real you. So that's what's being called for here. That's what the journey is about. Being real is about practicing the presence of your authentic beingness. Living in the now moment of creation is one of the ways that we help ourselves to transform into who we really are. And being real is about being our true self, not a contrived, shiny, wind-up, pretend thing, but our real, authentic, unvarnished, perfect, complete, and whole self. Being real, giving generously of your real self is the greatest gift that you can give to humanity. The greatest gift that you can give to humanity. And it calls for us to integrate our authentic self with the divine presence and to become whole once again. And so when we do that, when we discard our inauthentic pretense and embrace our authentic presence, we move from doing to being, from looking to seeing, from pretense to presence, from hearing to listening. We move from imbalance to balance. We move from separation to oneness. We move from reacting to responding. We move from inauthenticity to authenticity. We move from fragmentation to integration. We move from revenge and blame to forgiveness. We move from seeking happiness to allowing joy. We move from incorrect perception to correct perception, seeing rightly. We move from complaint and competition to compassion. We move from unconsciousness to consciousness, And we move from living in the past or the future into living in the present moment, which is where we have power. That is what it is to die to the old, the limited, the unreal, and to awaken to the authentic, the powerful, the presence that you are. We're all called by Spirit to be real here and now. And I fully believe that. And I don't think we have time to pussyfoot around. I think that we are being called to be as real as we possibly can, right here in this world, right here, right now. I think it's urgent. We're in an emergency. We are being called to emerge into the most powerful expression that we can possibly be of our authentic self. That is what creates a world that works. We're being called to unwrap the gift of our lives and to invite ourselves to fulfill our highest potential. I mean, why, I don't get this. Why would we bother to just be some faded version of ourselves? To me, that's a huge waste of time. Why would we not want to be as full and as fulfilled as we possibly can be? Does that make sense? Anybody else think that it's kind of crazy to say, oh, I think I'll just be half of myself? Oh, I'm just going to show half of me. When I get a migraine, I only see half of things. So this cannot be a good sign. If there's pain involved in only seeing half, then why not let go of the pain and see whole and be whole? So, I am encouraging you. Choose to be awake. Choose to be present. Choose to serve powerfully in this world. And your service comes by being your most authentic self, the greatest gift that you can give. We all want a world that works, but many of us have a tendency to wait around for a political leader or a guru or a new messiah to make it all happen. And the reality is that we must all reawaken. We must all reawaken and take responsibility to resurrect hope. To resurrect hope of a world that works for everyone. As Gandhi said, you must be the change you wish to see in the world. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. We are the ones here to resurrect hope. We said it in the opening song. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We don't have to, that's the good news. We don't have to wait any longer. We're here. We're already here. That's the cool deal. We're already here. So it just requires us to be as fully as we can. The word resurrect comes from the Latin, and I found this interesting. It means to surge, to rise, to lead. That's what resurrection is. To surge, to rise, to lead. We're being called to surge, to rise, to lead as our authentic, real self. How many of you are willing to do that? It's okay if you're not. How many are willing to actually do that? Anybody? Because if not, I've wasted 7 weeks of my time and yours. Which is okay, because I've gotten a lot out of it. Actually, I have to say, I've been looking at these growth principles and go, wow, that velveteen rabbit is a cool dude. He really got it, right? So to resurrect is to surge, to rise up and lead. If you lead no other thing, lead yourself, right? Now, hope, here's an interesting word. Who knew that hope could be such an interesting word? It comes from the Old German, which ironically means to hop. Hope means to hop, like the velveteen rabbit, as in jumping to safety. As in jumping to safety. Because when we reach a place of safety, of refuge, we feel hopeful. I didn't know that the word hope came from hop. It's kind of cool. I didn't plan that. Now we got all these rabbits. So hang on to it, because they're probably going to start hopping any time now. So today, I urge us, all of us, let's not just resurrect hope. Let's go beyond that to a state of awakened expectancy of receiving good and of being the good that makes a difference and leaves the world a better place. You willing to do that, not just sit around and hope?
Yes.
But actually be the good that makes the world a better place?
Yes.
I mean, we have a tendency sometimes to think of ourselves as really small and not very powerful and ineffective. If you think that, that's what you'll be. If you think that you're powerful and we have the possibility and the presence and the power to make the world a better place, we will indeed do that. How many are willing to do that? Are you willing to do that?
Willing to do that.
Okay, I'm expecting to see a lot of you hopping out of here at the end of the day. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, wrote, "Our growth results from an inner awakening. Our whole process is an awakening. And it seems that man exists for the purpose of self-expression. Today the horizon is clear. The voyage starts anew. We are reborn. The true resurrection takes place daily and hourly as we shed limited concepts of life." So I'm asking you, beyond today, let's not just do this once a year. Beyond today, every hour, every moment that you stay awake, remember that you can be reborn into new life, powerful present life, real life, authentic life, anytime you choose to give up a limited concept of yourself or anybody or anything else in this world. You can choose it every single minute if you want. And I would suggest that's probably a good idea. You know, if you're sitting in a traffic light, good time to contemplate that. Instead of getting mad at the traffic, we can move into that power source that's within us. The Velveteen Rabbit and Easter, the Easter story, both of these stories, both of these metaphors are about liberation and empowerment that comes with becoming, allowing ourselves to be fully real. In the Easter story, the crucifixion is about dying to that limited self and letting it go, that unreal self, and allowing our consciousness to rise, allowing ourselves to become whole from the inside out, to realize that we are the resurrection and the life, that we are the hope and the inspiration. They wrote a song about that, didn't they? You know, isn't there a song called Hope and Inspiration? I know, you are the hope and inspiration. If there isn't, could you write that before the end of the thing? So, you are the resurrection and the life. You are the hope and the inspiration that brings new life. It is that hope and that inspiration to recover every ounce of spiritual energy that we've allowed to leak out of us in some way by being unreal. It is that hope and inspiration that rekindles the fires of hope and life and love and happiness and belief in good, that reawakens each of us to why we were born in this world at this time. It is no accident that you're here now. It is no accident. It is that hope and inspiration that reconnects us to our unique gifts so that we might create a future that we love to live. Wouldn't you love to love your life? Wouldn't it be great to say, I love the life that I'm living? How many times you wake up and look in the mirror, you can't wait to get out of bed and say, wow, I love the life that I'm living. If you're not doing that, start. Fake it till you make it. Believe it. It will start to change your mind. And when you change your mind, your life and the life that we share will begin to change also, and become what we envision and what we imagine and what we embrace and what we embody. And then you'll be living the life you love to live in a world you love to live in. Anybody excited about that idea?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Make it happen. What's the Star Trek guy? Make it so.
Make it so.
Make it so. So we are the hope and the inspiration to renew our faith and to walk through a new door of infinite possibility. It's right there. Open the door and walk through. I'm not going to push you, and nobody's going to be on the other side pulling you. Walk through. Walk through. So that all sounds rousing, and I get all excited. I get myself excited. I'm going to get you excited. I'm going to get myself excited. But how? How is it? So how is it that the promise of Easter and the promise of the Velveteen Rabbit becomes fulfilled? How is that? Do we wait around for the Velveteen Rabbit? We wait around for the Easter story to manifest? We wait around for that political leader, that guru, that new Messiah? No. It must be fulfilled by each one of us. It must be fulfilled in and through and as each one of us. That is the fulfillment of the promise. That's what brings it forth. It's not somebody or somebody who's special outside of you. It's you who's special inside of you. Each of you, all of you. The Velveteen Rabbit and the Jesus of the Easter story are simply way showers. They are examples here to show us something that we can emulate. That journey of unfoldment, that journey of becoming, that journey of transformation into real. And Jesus of the Easter story, like the Velveteen Rabbit and the Skin Horse, was a way shower, a great master, a great teacher who said, I'm trying this. Let me show you a way that you too can become all of these things and greater still. Jesus and the Velveteen Rabbit and the Skin Horse came not as the great exceptions, but the great example of what is absolutely possible for every single one of us. Believe it. Believe it. If you don't believe it, we'll never get there. If you do believe it, I guarantee we will. It's up to us to choose the journey to become real. Real, so that we can rise from the dead of an unreal life and we can resurrect into the promise of a new real life, to awaken from unconsciousness and to open the gifts of our authenticity, and they are many. They are ever unfolding. So this is the invitation to embrace the art of living consciously. And this is the journey to awaken and become real and present in this world. And this is the promise. The awareness of the power of our inner presence. And this is the gift, to become available and therefore truly useful. So the journey into real is a journey into spiritual awakenedness. That's who Jesus in the Easter metaphor is. He is the awakened one, the one who is willing to be real and authentic, and to show us a way that we too can awaken and become enlightened, authentic, and real. The Skin Horse and the boy helped to awaken real in the Velveteen Rabbit, and I believe he awakened it even more in them. And the Skin Horse said, once you are real, you can't become unreal again. It lasts for always. I tried going back, and the Skin Horse is right. Once you become real, you can't pretend that you don't know what real is anymore. You cannot go back to being unreal. That's the good news and the challenging news. You can't go back to sleep. The path to real, authentic life embraces the oneness of spirit that connects us all and enables us to create a world that works for everyone. As we awaken to real, we realize the spirit. We realize that spirit in us is love, that it is infinite, that it is eternal, that it is present, that it is creative, that it is powerful. Use your own words. All of that and so much more. And it is within us, knocking on the insides of us, saying, let me out, let me out. Our realness awakens and invites real in others to come forth. And that just adds to the magnificence of the world in which we live and love to live. There's one presence, and it exists in each of us and in all of us, and it is the one of us. And it is experienced and expressed when we are willing to be real. Ralph Waldo Emerson said that to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. I agree. It's not easy in this world to have all the tenacity and the commitment to be authentic and real. But it is the greatest gift that we can give to ourselves and to the whole world, and it is the greatest accomplishment we will ever have. All the plaques on the wall and all the awards and all those things, nothing compared to I lived my real life. I'd like that on my tombstone. She lived her real life. So I invite you to take it on, my friends. Take it on and get for real. Okay? So I give you blessings on your journey, and I ask that you let the true light of your real self shine forth so that others might stand in your light and realize that they have a light of their own that they are willing to share also. You were given a light when you came in, and so I'm going to ask you to, because we can't have real candles, we have these other kind of real candles. You just turn and twist it. Hold that light and contemplate that light. That is you. That is the inside of you. And think about that as we play this song. Yes, let your light shine. So it is.
And so it is.